What's up, guys? GBR at PRI 2023. We're here with Andre Nunez, kind of the guy who really brought fuel injection into bracket racing, more so in the limelight. It's always kind of been there, but you've really done a good job of showing people there's a different way to do things. And I guess just give us a little overview of the bracket racing features that Fueltech offers.
Sure. So before we carry on, like a little kind of like clearing up, right? Like the EFI, yes, has become a part of it, right? They have more and more every day, but that under no circumstance means that you cannot keep your good old carburetor and your distributor and still get a bunch of benefit from Fueltech, right? So just want to make sure that you guys don't feel that if you're not EFI, you can't benefit from Fueltech. Not true, right? And we have a bunch of features, basically everything that's bracket racing related now that would take multiple components to do, we have incorporated into the one box, right? So in its essence, right, Fueltech is a full function data logger, touch screen, right? So we have customers that use it that simply, right? They just update it by having the screen as their gauges and now a full function data logger, right? And we also offer the delay box as one of the features. We have our own dial board, we have throttle stop controls, and of course inherently the ECU is capable of shifting the car, running lights, any power adders, nitrous. Like basically we can do from just a basic logging with gauges to fully controlling the car with individual coils. So it's up to the customer of how far they want to take it, but we have the capability to go either way.
And with the new Nano Pros, not only is it an O2 sensor, but you can actually utilize that as an additional gauge as well.
Yeah, so the Nano Pro, it's a conditioner for the O2 sensor, which is necessary, one conditioner per O2 sensor. But the Nano Pro does bring into it the additional screens, and you can actually use it in the engine bay, for example. I have a lot of customers that'll put two Nano Pros all the way in the engine bay because you don't really need to see them. The ECU will record it, and you can use it to see your oil pressure or your fuel pressure when you're warming up your car or checking something, go through different screens. So yeah, it provides a little novelty and the ability to gain some more functionality out of the conditioner.
And the thing that really, I was telling you this before we started the camera, the thing that really sold me whenever I was building my new car on the Fueltech system was simply the fact that when you're building a new car, obviously you need some sort of ignition system, which usually everybody would go to, say, the MSD grid or something, timing controller, things like that. You need a delay box, you need gauges, you need some sort of data logger, and this does everything all in one. But I want to ask you your opinion because you were a very big advocate for data analysis in the bracket racing side of things. And it was something that a lot of people have had race packs over the years, but now, I mean, you just need to have everything that someone else has, you need to have it too, because when we're dealing with so close of, thousandths of a second at the end of the track, I mean, if you give up a thousandth, you might want it back. So speak to the importance of just understanding how your car is functioning at all.
Yeah, bracket racing these days, especially the mega bucks. I draw a line between big buck and mega bucks because it really is a whole different level. So anything like 50, 100Ks, they're everywhere, the millions. The level of precision that the cars have acquired these days is just absolutely ridiculous. Being able to be dead on is no longer a luxury. It's not an advantage. If you cannot be dead on, if you don't know what your car is going to go, you should reconsider even visiting these things, right? So in order to make the cars this good, data acquisition is indispensable, right? Like you might be able to get the car set up with a known setup that you have, but as the conditions throughout the year change, that consistency that you might have, like say in winter, might be affected as the year progresses, right? So having the ability to see what the car is actually doing and not just guessing at it, that, whoa, what could it be? A car slowed down, it was because of, the fuel, or did I spin, or that I'm not having the data in front of you to be able to analyze and come to a conclusion that gets you the solution faster. Man, that is just indispensable these days, and that's a big advantage of recording everything you're doing.
And especially with these multi-day bracket races, which I know you participate in a whole lot of them, running all over the place. But if you're at a 5-day race, you show up day one, track you've never been at, maybe it has a bump in a certain area. I mean, these cars are fast now. Like, we're basically bracket racing heads-up cars anymore, it seems like. But maybe there's a bump here. Maybe you need to make a shock adjustment. Maybe you need to take some timing out, something like that. you have 5 days that you would have to deal with that, and you've spent all this money and time getting there, taking off work and everything, and you have no idea what to do. You're just shooting in the dark whenever you could just look at the data, fix it, race the rest of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it just, having information is never a bad thing, right? And there will be a lot of times that bracket racers, we don't mess with our cars too much, right? Like, guilty as charged. But whenever you do run into a problem, you will wish that you had the information at that point, right? So just going ahead and making the investment into having the capabilities to do it, man, it's well worth it. And Fueltech allows you to do it in a economical way, right? Like, we have our 450, which a lot of customers use as their gauges and just data logging. It's the difference between our ECUs is primarily the amount of channels that they have available, right? So if you're doing something where you're incorporating the delay box and controlling nitrous and like doing a bunch of sensors, then you're probably going to want to start off of 550, which is usually enough for all the sportsman guys. But the 450 with its 7 channels and 10 outputs, man, like, you can do water, oil, fuel, trans temp, drive shaft, and then you can still have O2s, which don't count towards that. They go through our CAN network. Like, that's getting a little nitty gritty, but the fueling in particular is something that people overlook, like, tremendously. If you race your car in the winter time, and 60 degrees, 50 degrees, 1,000 foot or better of air density, and then you expect your car to work the same when you get to the summertime and you're racing in 90 degrees, 3,000 foot, it's just not realistic. And again, like, if you're just a weekend warrior, you just want to go do some burnouts, pop a wheelie, have some fun, then by all means, but if you're truly trying to acquire the most consistency possible and you want a car that is competitive in today's environment, just the data logging is so useful that it really should not be overlooked. And the fueling in particular is something that I really wish people paid a little more attention to, because it can help a lot, and at the same time it can hurt you a lot. It's the consistency.
Now, Fueltech also, everything you said has a certain amount of inputs. Like the 550 has 14, right? Mm-hmm. And the 600 will have a little more. 700 that's upcoming will have even more. But Fueltech has an expansion pack as well, correct? Yeah. So I think I just bought the 550. I believe if I got the expansion pack, that would essentially give me, 20 more inputs?
No, the input expander has a bunch more, right? But generally speaking, we will be able to get everything that we need either within a 550 or a 600, including most of our Pro Mod customers. The amount that use the input expander is very few, and when they do, it's because they have like an obscene amount of sensors. Like, they're checking, all 4 corners of their travel. They have temperature sensor, track temperature sensor, air temperature sensor, like integrated weather station into the car, like just the steering input. So generally, bracket racer 550, that'll be a great unit that not only will be able to do all the logging you're trying to do, but you'd be able to do all the controls and do the delay box and everything. So yeah, the normal customer will be just fine with one of the ECUs without having to expand.
And say you're a guy that has, right now, you don't want to go all in on everything. You want to keep your carburetor. Obviously Fueltech can manage that. Let's say down the road you decide, maybe I want to try fuel injection. How do you swap to that? Are all the ECUs capable of running fuel injection?
Yeah, they're all capable of running fuel injection, but we go back to the amount of channels, right? So the 450 is very enticing because of the price point. And in a carbureted application with an MSD, for example, it's a perfect fit. Like, it's even on the output side, you can control everything you're trying to. Now, if you do have the mindset that you'd like to potentially go to fuel injection in the future, my recommendation would be just go ahead and get yourself a 550, because even if you're not using all of it right now, then you'll have enough channels to upgrade in the future without an additional investment, right? Because all the capabilities will be there, right? It's not you have to buy another piece of firmware, or everything that we have is available at all times, free download on our software, right? So that's kind of the mentality. You got to be honest with yourself, and if you see yourself trying to go there, just go ahead and get yourself a 550 so you have enough channels.
So if we haven't covered everything already, where can everybody get a hold of Andre Nunez and figure out how they get this all with their bracket racing program going?
Yeah, so I guess to kind of lean into that a little bit. Like that is the one thing that we really try to do at Fueltech, man. Tech support. Like it's not just about selling you a product and then send you on your way. Like we have a robust infrastructure for our tech support, from Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, support, emails, calls, like, and of course, you know, we have our office. We're there. And we go to the racetrack a lot. Like if you guys notice, you go to some event, like whether it be radial or pro mod or big buck bracket racing, man, chances are that you're going to have someone there representing, because we don't only sell the ECUs, like we're racers. Like that's why I feel that a lot of the features and everything are what they need to be, because we just made it the way we would want it for ourselves, right? So yeah, man, like just reach us, www.fueltech.net, or send us an email, support@fueltech.net, sales@fueltech.net. Plenty of ways to get in touch with us.
Give them a call. You won't regret it.